In 113 BCE, a Roman woman named Marcia screams as workers lower a stone slab over her underground tomb. The grinding sound echoes, then silence, total darkness. She is still breathing. But that is not even the worst part. By the end of this video, you will understand why this execution method was so psychologically devastating that historians spent centuries trying to erase it from the record. You will discover the exact timeline of how long these women survived underground. And trust me, the suffocation math is absolutely horrifying. I will reveal who was secretly watching through a small hole in the tomb. And I will show you what Renaissance workers found in 1485 when they accidentally broke into one of these sealed chambers. The position of the body tells you everything about her final moments. I am talking about Rome's most sacred women, the Vestal Virgins, and the nightmare punishment reserved exclusively for them. If you are fascinated by history's darkest truths, hit that subscribe button now because this channel dives into the stories they do not teach in school, and you will want to see next week's video about the Roman execution where the victim had to dig their own. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let us start with why Rome would bury their holiest women alive. Picture this. You are walking through ancient Rome. You see 6 women dressed in pure white robes with elaborate braided hair. Everyone's senators, generals, even the emperor steps aside and bows. These are the Vestal Virgins, and they are more powerful than almost any woman in the ancient world. But that power comes with an unthinkable price. Starting at age 6 to 10, these girls are selected from Rome's elite families to serve the goddess Vesta for 30 years. Their only job, keep the sacred flame in Vesta's temple burning. Never let it go out. Because according to Roman belief, if that flame dies, Rome dies with it. Here is where it gets dark. These women must remain virgins for all 30 years, not just physically. They cannot even be accused of breaking their vow. Because Romans believed the city's survival was literally connected to their purity. Earthquakes must be a Vestal's fault. Military defeat. A Vestal definitely had sex. The penalty for breaking this vow was not crucifixion. It was not beheading. Those deaths were too quick, too merciful. No, the punishment was live burial in a place called the Campus Celeratus, the evil field. A barren plot of land inside Rome's city walls where they would seal you underground in a marble tomb and walk away. Here is what made this punishment far worse than anyone could imagine. Roman law forbade spilling a Vestal's blood. So they found a way around it. They said they were not killing her. They were only leaving her in a room. What happened next was not their concern. But they knew exactly what would happen. The year was 113 BCE. 3 Vestal Virgins, Aemilia, Licinia, and Marcia, stood accused of impurity. The proof was not testimony or evidence. It was a meteor shower, a flash of lightning, a trembling earth. Priests called them signs from the gods. Rome was desperate for someone to blame, and fear always needs a face. The chief priest arrived at the house of the Vestals. He spoke the words that erased her life. I judge you guilty. You are no longer a Vestal. In that instant she lost her name, her protection, her humanity. Slaves lifted her into a closed litter so no one would see her face. The streets were silent. No mourning, no prayers, only the rhythm of footsteps and her breathing in the dark. The procession reached the field of shame. A pit waited, marble walls, a couch, a table. Guards helped her down. The tomb swallowed her whole. They left bread, water, milk, and a single lamp still burning. Enough to live, not to survive. The Romans told themselves they were not executioners. They were simply obeying law. When the lamp died, the darkness came, the kind where even your own hands disappear. Up above, priests sealed the stone and consecrated the ground so no one could ever touch it again. But the horror did not end there. A narrow shaft allowed air and sound. Some said priests listened through it, waiting for the moment her screams stopped. Centuries later, when archaeologists opened one tomb, they found marks carved into the marble. Fingernail scratches, deep and desperate. She had clawed the stone, tracing every wall in blackness, searching for a way out. Those lines remain. Silent proof that even in her final breath, she refused to die quietly. Some of the marks formed shapes, deliberate lines, maybe even words now too faded to read. She had tried to leave a message. Imagine it. You are underground, the lamp has died, the air is growing heavy. Each breath burns. You know death is coming, yet you try to carve your truth into marble. Maybe you write your name, your innocence, or simply I was here. According to Livy, Marcia's case shocked Rome because the scratches proved she had survived for 3 days before losing consciousness. Some senators argued this meant the gods had spared her, that she was innocent. Rome's answer was not mercy. It was efficiency. From then on, the condemned were given less food and water. Enough to die faster. They optimized the horror. Centuries later, archaeologists found proof that the reforms were not merciful at all. One woman had survived a full week before dehydration ended her life. The evidence came in 1485, when builders digging foundations near the old execution ground hit marble. They thought it was a ruin. It was not. The chamber was still sealed. They broke the stone and found a skeleton, face down before the door, arms reaching upward, fingers spread against the slab. She had died trying to push it open. Her bones still pressed against the narrow gap she had clawed into the frame. A starving woman against 400 pounds of marble. She knew she could not move it. But she tried. That discovery haunted Renaissance scholars. They searched Roman records to learn who she was. The answers they found changed history. Nearly every Vestal execution followed a crisis, a war lost, a scandal exposed, a senate in chaos. The accused were scapegoats, condemned on omens and tortured confessions. The last Vestal ever buried alive was Cornelia, accused by Emperor Domitian himself. When her high priestess defended her, he exiled the woman and buried Cornelia anyway. But this time, Rome had had enough. Outrage spread through the city, and when Domitian was assassinated, the Senate made a decree. Never again. After 1,000 years, the tombs of the Vestals finally went silent. Today, if you visit Rome, you can walk right over where the Campus Celeratus used to be. It is a small park now near the Quirinal Hill. Tourists take photos. Locals walk their dogs. There is no memorial, no plaque, nothing to tell you that women once screamed underground here while the city walked above them. But they were there, and the scratches on the marble proved they did not go silently. For more than a millennium, Rome used the threat of live burial to control its most powerful women. The Vestal Virgins had wealth, status, and legal privileges no other Roman women possessed. But that power came with a suffocating fear. One false accusation, one political enemy, one convenient scapegoat situation, and you would be climbing down into that marble chamber. The Romans called it a merciful execution because they did not directly kill anyone. They just sealed a door and walked away. But we know better now. We have seen the scratch marks. We have done the math on the oxygen. We have read the desperate final messages carved into stone. And here is what makes this relevant today. False accusations and purity culture have not disappeared. The methods are different, but the pattern is the same. Powerful people weaponizing morality to control others, especially women, using shame and fear to maintain systems that benefit those in power. The Vestals were Rome's most sacred women, and Rome buried them alive. So here is my thought for you, and I really want you to think about this before you comment. Throughout history, societies have created brutal punishments specifically for women who supposedly violated purity standards. What does that tell us about who these laws were really designed to control and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this video made you realize how dark historical justice really was, make sure you are subscribed because next week I am covering the Roman execution where the victim had to participate in their own death, and the psychological torture was even worse than the physical pain. I will see you in the next one.